Cloud Solutions and Services. This is a statewide contract number 99999 SPD T 201-90814-0001, and this is for use by police services. This contract consists of purchasing off the competitively led SWC to purchase OpenGov software to assist in management and operation of the permits unit. This request seeks to continue use of the software through September 30th, 2026, awarded to Carasoft Technology Corp., amount not to exceed $61,094.45. Do we have someone to speak to this item? How you doing, Chief?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So this software is used in our permits unit. Our permits unit is responsible for vetting and issuing permits for alcohol licenses, service permits, and other late-night establishments permits. And this software is what we currently use, and we're asking to continue to use this software to assist in the operations of issuing those permits.
Thank you, sir. And I have a question that I think procurement may be able to answer. And I understand that this is a statewide contract, but considering that we have several contracts with Carasoft, do we get some sort of package deal?
I'm going to say no, because we've also in procurement been discovering how much we have been using this particular vendor. Carasoft supplies a lot of software. So we do ask, what's the discount? What's the cost analysis? This is a change order, so the original request would have mentioned what the cost analysis is, but every quote we get when we start asking to do extra things from these different vendors, it will lay out what the discounts are. So we're always getting discounts even if we add a new thing. But it's probably time for us as an entity to have a discussion about doing our own thing and letting other people competitively procure off of ours, because we've been using a lot more of these than we've ever done before. But that's going to take some collective effort, because that's going to be a new thing we have not done before.
And I appreciate you saying that, because essentially that's what I was getting at. And I think a couple of months back, you guys shared with us a list of the vendors that we have multiple contracts with and how much those are. And some of them are staying in business because of DeKalb County. And so I think if we're doing a great service to them by them being in business, we should look into how we can have an added benefit in addition to the service that they're providing. So
now I do want to add, though, on the statewide contracts, we are limited. So it is probably time for us to have a conversation about our own, because on statewide, no one can offer anything better to us than what they already offer the state. So that's just a side note.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. Committee members, do you have any questions or comments about this item 1141? Commissioners, Terry, Patrick, no? Okay, thank you so much. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve item 2025-1141.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, hold on just a minute. Okay. Next item, 2025-1235, all commission districts. This is a ratification of change order number 4 to contract number 1257650, and it's for body-worn body camera systems. This is a multi-year sole source for use by the Marshal's Office and Departments of Public Safety and Animal Services. This contract consists of the purchase of body-worn comprehensive camera systems and supporting hardware and software accessories. This request seeks to ratify an increase in contract funds and scope for body-worn body cameras awarded to Utility Associates, Inc., amount not to exceed $330,204. And do we have anyone to speak to this item? And scope.
Good afternoon again. So yes, as far as the police department is concerned with this contract, it's through the company utility. It's our body-worn cameras, and the increase is specifically to cover damages and repairs to some of the body-worns that was not originally included in the contract price for us, as well as I know the marshals and animal enforcement services use these cameras as well, and they're purchasing more for their personnel.
And the 330,000, is that the total up, including the increase, or the increase is 330,000?
That is the total funding, including the increase.
Okay. Any questions from committee members? Commissioner Johnson?
Just want to make sure I understood correctly, Chief, that this is for repairing, but also getting additional cameras.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Patrick or Terry, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, Madam Chair. Just a quick general question as it relates to just our camera, our comprehensive camera system in general. So for the body worn, but I think also related to like the digital shield, I think it's called. Are we using facial recognition?
No, sir.
As part of that? That's not part of any of this?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
I have none.
All right, do we have a motion?
Move to approve item 2025-1235.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Moving along to fire rescue, item 2025-1236, all commission districts. And this item is to donate 2004 Spartan tractor and trailer to the Newton County Fire Department.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. As you stated, this is to donate a tractor trailer and the equipment that was originally received by the county back in 2004 as part of the Georgia search and rescue initiative. And so there was approximately 12 trucks that were donated across the state to start that search and rescue team. The county has had that vehicle ever since. Since that time, we have been able to build up our own truck and equipment and found this one now to be surplus. In order to get rid of it as part of the original agreement, we would have to go through the state. They have sent us a letter, which I believe is part of your packet, that says we are able to do what we're asking here, and that is donating it to a department that can use that vehicle.
Wonderful. Any comments or questions from committee members? Commissioner Johnson?
Yes. Good afternoon, Chief.
Yes.
So we were donated the equipment in 2004, and now we're going to pass that blessing on to another county to help them with their program.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Program.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? No? Okay, do we have a motion for this item?
I move to approve item 2025-1236.
Do we have a?
Oh, a second. I do have one question. Why don't we need it anymore?
So, Commissioner, over those years, 21 years, we've been buying our own equipment, and we have a vehicle that can house that equipment. It's a much smaller vehicle. It's part of our search and rescue team we have at Station 24. So we just don't need the vehicle, and the equipment, at least for us, would be outdated.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Commissioner Johnson, does your motion still stand?
Yes, ma'am.
And does
My
your
second.
second? All in favor? Aye. Wonderful. Moving on to item 2025-1313. This is also all commission districts, and this is a memorandum of agreement with the State of Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency and DeKalb County.
Yes, Commissioners, this is with the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security. This is sort of related to the vehicle in a sense that it is for mutual aid for GSAR, which once again is the Georgia Search and Rescue. The agreement has been in place for many years. It has to be renewed every 5 years. The only change that's being made within this agreement, it does speak explicitly to the fact that agency that is providing services can request reimbursement from the receiving agency. And so in the past, that was something that was not listed, at least explicitly within the document. Generally, it was considered to be in kind. But I really believe in some of the more recent incidents that we've had where you are sending resources to another department, this was necessary to state that if possible, you could request reimbursement for any staff needs, any equipment that may be damaged, and all those things. So it's stated very explicitly, once again, within the document.
Do you anticipate that having a significant impact on us, considering the service that you guys do with our adjacent counties and jurisdictions?
Yes, Commissioner. I will say oftentimes we are the one providing more than we are probably receiving, just because we do have the training and the capacity to do so. So the most recent incident that I'm sure everybody's familiar with, and we just had the anniversary, is the Rockdale chemical incident where we did send equipment there. It wasn't necessarily GSAR, but it is an example of where oftentimes we are the one who is sending the resources to other agencies.
Okay. Any other, Commissioner Davis Johnson?
Did we get any compensation for that?
Yes, Commissioner, we've requested compensation for that incident, the equipment that we did have on scene for approximately 3 hours or so. But we have already submitted for reimbursement for any equipment that we used on that scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you anticipating payment?
Yes, yes, Commissioner, we will make sure that we do.
Commissioner Johnson, did you have something? Any other questions or comments from commissioners? All righty, do we have a motion for this item?
Yes, go ahead.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
No problem, Chief. Moving on to finance risk management. This is item 2025-1202, all commission districts. And this is our first opportunity to actually discuss the nationwide fee structure change.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Chair. This is overall good news for all of our 5,200 employees that currently participate in a nationwide program. And as you know, Nationwide is designed to supplement the county's pension retirement plan. It's a fully voluntary program, and we always encourage employees to put additional aside to supplement DeKalb's pension benefit. Conventional wisdom says that individuals retiring should retire with about 80 to 85% of their active income. You won't get there just relying on your pension plan, even though 2 of the 3 plans are very rich. So we would like to, and we do encourage new hires in particular to really work with Nationwide and put additional money away so that they can be prepared for retirement. And so one thing that we did notice that when an individual sits down with a Nationwide rep to discuss their investment options, they never really talk about the fees associated with those options. And those fees can range from relatively low to relatively high. Usually when you're sitting down with your retiree rep, you're saying, I want to invest in the American Beacon Fund or T. Rowe Price or Vanguard. And we have hundreds of these funds, and each one has their own unique administration fee. So we asked Nationwide, could they develop a fee leveling approach, which is now the industry practice, to have a single fee regardless of what investment option that employee elects. And so we're proposing an across-the-board 10%, we call it basis points. It's really just an administrative fee that Nationwide charges to manage those investments. And doing so is going to greatly lower what everybody pays for their administration fees. Most people don't look at it when they look at their statement because the amount is fairly small. But basis fees or these administrative fees can range anywhere from 0% to 0.85 basis points, which works out to be about 8%. The average balance that the typical employee has in Nationwide is about $40,000. So if we do fee leveling and go to 10 basis points, they're just paying $40 a year in administrative fees, regardless of their investment option. And so there's been some litigation from other large plans where participants are saying, hey, I didn't know that I was paying 85 basis points for American Beacon. If I had known that, I would have switched to Vanguard. So this also reduces the likelihood of having litigation against the plan based on fee structure, and it makes the fees more visible to the participants. So we're recommending today that the board approve an across-the-board fee structure of 10 basis points for everyone participating in the nationwide accounts, regardless of the investment that they're investing their retirement funds in.
And I just want to clarify, you said the range, it could be anywhere from 0% to 0.8 basis points. But we are requesting 0.10 for fee leveling.
Excellent question. So 7% of our members are paying 0 points. Those are the individuals that are investing in a relatively low return, low risk investment called fixed income. And so since Nationwide doesn't have to do a lot of work to administer that account, it's basically bonds. You set it and forget it. Since there's not a lot of work associated with that, they don't charge anything. But it's only 7% of our employees that participate in the fixed account. So 93% will see their fees reduced. 7% will go from paying nothing to paying 10%, which is the other basis for the lawsuit, because members in other plans are saying, why am I paying an administrative fee when that guy over there is paying nothing? So all of this levels the playing field, but ultimately lowers the fees that participants are paying, except for that one group of 7%. And they will be notified, of course, well in advance by mail that their fee structure is changed, and if they wish to switch to another investment option, they'd have that opportunity to do so.
Okay. So I have a habit of continually asking the same question in different ways until it makes sense to me. And it still sounds like we are in the fee leveling, we're going to pay more than on average what is being paid. Because I heard 10% for fee leveling, but right now the maximum is 8%.
Actually, not quite. 10 basis points. And so right now, the highest basis points is 85. And we just think of putting it's easier for math to just make 10 basis points 0.10. It's 1/10 of 1%. And so these higher fees on the 0.85 basis points, that goes away. Everybody pays the same 10 basis points regardless of their investment option, but it actually lowers the cost for the vast majority, at least 93% of our participants.
Okay. Committee members, do you have any questions or comments? Commissioner Johnson, did you have something? Oh, okay. I was looking at Davis Johnson, but.
So I think I'm getting it, Dr. Bolton. To level it, we have to make some pay, some will come down, some might stay, but it'll level out.
Basically so. 93% of our participants will see their rates come down. 7% who are currently paying nothing will see their administrative fees go up. But 10 basis points is a very low administrative fee, considering that it could be as high as 0.85% or 85 basis points. So that 7% of participants who are in a very conservative investment plan, they've been paying nothing. And there's a lot of large plans that are saying it's not fair that a group of individual investors gets a complete pass on paying an administrative fee, because really what's happening, the fees that other members are paying are subsidizing the non-payment of fees for those who selected this low-risk investment. So in terms of fairness, it's probably a better approach that they pay something, because there is some cost associated with managing their account.
And I think that's the difference. So it's 10 basis points versus 85 basis points.
Correct.
Not 8.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes.
So 93% of folks pay as high as 85.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. The vast majority are currently paying administrative fees that are well above 10% or 10 basis points.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we cleared that up. Any other question or comments from commissioners? Okay. Do we have a motion on this item?
Move to approve item 2025-1202.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All righty, wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on to District 1 item. This is 2024-1233, all commission districts. And this, actually, before we get to that one, I'm going to move down to the District 6 item because I believe that we have a guest here to speak and just share some information with us. But this is item 2025-1107, all commission districts, a resolution requesting the administration implement a DeKalb County Police Department LGBTQ+ police liaison position, require hate crimes identification training for law enforcement, and for other purposes. And so can we have our guest has approached the podium. Commissioner Terry, would you like to introduce the item?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And so, yes, upon request of the committee, we did reach out to the Human Rights Campaign as well as Georgia Equality. And so Georgia Equality has kindly sent Ms. Chanel Haley, Deputy Executive Director of Georgia Equality and the Equality Foundation of Georgia, to be here to speak about other jurisdictions who have implemented similar liaison positions, and then be available to answer any questions or comments or concerns that committee members might have.
Thank you for having me, the commissioners. Just a little background, let you know that I have done trainings with several different law enforcement agencies and been engaged with other liaisons around the state, and currently sit on the FBI's Community Commission. And so I've worked with police officers on a regular basis. I'm really friendly with them. As far as when it comes to the liaisons, there's a really great way of doing it, there's a bad way of doing it, and the hope is that you're meeting somewhere in the middle. The bad way of doing it, obviously, is creating a position and leaving it at that, to where that person has zero authority, it's not on the website, the community does not know, there's not business cards. I mean, doing that just to get a check mark actually does not serve the community whatsoever. Then there is the standard, the best way of doing things, which would be to not only create the position, but then also have some teeth to it. So it goes more into just training your officers around public engagement, but then also with each other, because the position as liaison lies somewhere in between community engagement and to where their colleagues might see them actually as internal affairs. Because, right, they should also be returning and talking about if there is any discrimination happening within the department. And so there is that to think about and what it looks like. As far as community trust, it is extremely important to reach out to actual communities and be on the ground and make sure that, number one, the position exists and this person is there to serve and help. Hours of operations, if this is something that's on call or this is someone you can call out to the scene, and to make sure that this is whatever your issue is that is around the actual community, LGBT community, this is the person you can speak to around with trust, because that clearly is the reason why we're here today and talking about this, is because there's a trust issue. And that is the reason why most organizations and agencies have created such positions to be able to build the gap between the actual law enforcement and also the department. I'm sorry, community, yeah.
And Madam Chair, if I can just have a follow-up. So Ms. Haley, could you speak a little bit about what the City of Atlanta, which I think you referenced as a good example of an LGBTQ police liaison, what they're doing, how it's impacted that, and then I don't want you to get too much into like another jurisdiction not doing it, but I think you expressed that. We don't want to just check a box and just say we're doing something if we're not really truly trying to implement a community engagement program that is open to all. So could you just speak about sort of in the best case scenario, what would a liaison do, and maybe Atlanta is the place to begin?
Atlanta really is the blueprint. So just for historical note, Atlanta's was created out of a court order. So it wasn't because they wanted to do it from the get-go. And so from there, the work was done, and it grew to where actually they have 2 liaisons for that position. And that person actually goes to out in the community, public events, so anything, so whether it's around Pride or going to housing facilities, any community organization, to letting them know that they are available and what's happening and if they can be a service. If there is an incident that takes place in the field, that person who's being detained or is having an engagement with law enforcement can request them to come out, which is why they added a second person, and to be able to kind of diffuse the situation or at least do some translation there around community confusion around culture. And so that actually is the standard in the gold. They also have a really good portion that they do within the training. So with the recruits, as you know, Atlanta Police Department does their police trainings, and they are in there part of the trainings around the recruits for how to engage with that. With that, they also bring in the public from the community to be able to run scenarios on what would happen. So whether it's the same-sex relationships around domestic intimate partner violence, or if it is pulling smaller who has had a name change or who is transgender and who does not look like their ID does. These scenarios come up in the field, and so they're taught this at the actual academy, and that's something that is usually led by the liaison. So that's the really great thing. One other thing I want to bring up is that, because this comes up a lot when talking about this, is they're like, well, why doesn't other communities, they should all have a liaison? And the reality is that, so Atlanta, again, they do, actually. They actually have other liaisons for the communities. And I want to point out that, but this was the training ground. This was where it started at with LGBT community. And so because of starting there, they have now learned, I'll give an example, is with the Hispanic community, of what communication looks like, how to make connections with community, what training looks like. And so now they're able and better to, with their other liaisons, to be able to manage that better with the community and have a better rapport.
So I'm going to go ahead and ask a question. One of the things that our department has done is to train all of the recruits, all of the officers, so that there isn't just one person that can be sought after for support, but that there's a whole community of officers that can support. And so can you share what you know about the training or services or support that DeKalb provides, and if you feel, well, not if you feel, compared to what some of the other liaisons and trainings consist of, potentially how we might compare, because I think it's great for more than just 1 or 2 people to be engaged. I like the idea of all of our officers, as Chief put it, all of our officers are liaisons because they're all being trained up. But Chief, if you want to elaborate a little bit more on what you shared with us before, you can, because I'm not sure how much Chanel may be familiar, but if you can just start, Chanel, with letting us know what you're familiar with when it comes to DeKalb policing.
Absolutely. So that's actually kind of what I said already. Everyone should be trained. That is absolutely the way it should be. The purpose for the liaison is the link between the departments and the public. Unfortunately, I mean, I think everybody watches the news. Everyone is part of community. You see what's happening. There is not the trust that comes along with law enforcement and community. So having a designated person that is that link, that's what the purpose of that is.
And Chief, you want to just share a little bit about what you guys are already doing?
Yes, ma'am. As I mentioned in a previous meeting, this training is continuous, and there's state-led training on this topic as well for the LGBTQ plus communities. But we had a supervisor in our training unit that wrote a lesson plan specific for this topic, and she presented it to me when I first started as interim chief, and she just wanted to share it within our department. I took it a step further. I really enjoyed the program. I thought that there was great information that everyone can learn from, not only in our department, but throughout the state of Georgia. So I requested that it be submitted to Georgia Post, our Peace Officer Standards and Training Council, to be accepted statewide as a training program, and that is being implemented starting next year in all of our in-service training, which every sworn officer that's already completed the academy will receive, but also anybody going through the academy will receive that training as well.
Thank you, sir. And Commissioner Terry, you wanted to say something else?
Yeah, just on the sort of the concept of training and then having the liaison that is sort of the forward-facing in the community. And I might put it like in these terms. So Chief Pedrick, every officer in DeKalb County Police Department receives CIT training. Is that right? Crisis intervention training?
Yes, sir.
But a few years ago, well, I guess actually early on in the development of DeKalb Police's crisis intervention sort of unit, but now a few years lately, we have a mobile crisis response unit. So in other words, there's a specialization in the police department. And I think that's kind of what I encourage y'all to kind of think about this request to do, is that every officer should get a foundational training, but just like we have SWAT, we have gang unit, we use, I guess, language line and try to have community policing aspects. The goal here is to recognize that, one, DeKalb is a very diverse community. We pointed out at Equality Day a few months ago that we actually have more LGBTQ elected officials than any other jurisdiction in Georgia. And just from our own statistics from Georgia Equality, we have a high population of community members that identify themselves as LGBTQ plus. And the hope here is that everyone has the training, but beyond just the training, that there is forward-facing, whether it's community engagement, proactivity, listening sessions, community education, that just is sort of designed to always be out there doing things. And so, Chief, I mean, in the last meeting, you expressed that you'd like to have a liaison for a lot of our different communities, maybe immigrant, refugee, Hispanic. We could really sort of have a lot of different layers to that. And I do support that initiative. I think I'm trying to get Zach to approve the interfaith immersion program again, which you participated in, I think, a few years ago with our religious leaders. And, I think this is just sort of hopefully a way for us to continue that work, to be more present, more proactive. And then let's not stop with just one liaison. Let's begin to build out a greater portfolio of liaisons, recognizing how diverse DeKalb is.
And you brought up a really good point that DeKalb has the largest number of elected officials who identify as in the community of LGBTQ+. So I think this conversation might even be beyond just having a police liaison. To me, that says we've positioned ourselves to be an LGBTQ+, maybe haven jurisdiction or safe zone, and maybe if we're promoting the fact that we support and elect and believe in and allow folks in the LGBTQ+ community to lead, that may be one of the determinants to help with folks feeling like they can come to our officers because they have the support of elected officials who can identify with, their experience, their lived experiences. So I think that's something to consider because it's based on what Chanel said. Atlanta did it. They were required to do it because there was an incident. Whereas we're on the other side of that. I see that as a negative thing. Positively, we have something more to offer than just a liaison. But while we kind of sit on those comments. Did committee members have any questions? Commissioner Davis Johnson?
Okay. Thank you. And I'll just say I agree with what you're saying. Because DeKalb is very diverse, I think DeKalb has recognized the diversity of DeKalb. And I've always said that DeKalb is pretty much proactive rather than reactive. And so I commend you, Chief Patrick, for leading us in a way that the state is looking at DeKalb once more, because we have led in many efforts in public safety. And so I think that this is another star, I think, for DeKalb. And I think it's an ongoing effort. And I think that each jurisdiction is different, because even though someone may not respect jurisdiction A, that doesn't mean that they doesn't respect or appreciate jurisdiction B, which may be DeKalb. So I think it has to be an ongoing effort. And would you say that there is a person within the department already that if there's a concern, not only about with any group, that they have a contact within the office to address that concern?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I mean, we have, a very diverse department as well, and members of this community. And I am proud to report that I was approached several weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago. We have never participated in the LGBTQ plus parade that's coming up this Sunday in Atlanta. And I've had someone that wanted to participate in uniform and, showed DeKalb County represented in that parade. And I spoke with Chief Shearbaum yesterday and got a DeKalb County car to be placed in that parade as well, with a participant, a DeKalb County police officer that volunteered and wanted to be in that process. So we speak openly. We have a bunch of officers that are here to support, and we stay open-minded, and I just, want to educate all of our officers and not put it in a silo.
Mm-hmm. And what about your hiring practice? Are your hiring practices inclusive too?
Absolutely, absolutely. If they can pass the background, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It does not matter at all. We want good officers that represent our community well, represent our department well, and we want to move DeKalb Police forward.
Okay.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, thank you. Chanel, I had a question. Have you had a chance to review the resolution that we're looking at now? And I was curious, you kind of ranked from good to bad and in the middle. Where are we ranking on this?
I think that the resolution is great. My simple thing I was just saying is that if you're going to do it correctly, and what needs to be involved in that. I also wanted to point out something that no one has talked about here, and hopefully these are conversations that take place when it comes around training, but it's around hate crimes as well as sex trafficking. So first of all, when it comes to hate crimes, unless you work in law or politics, you probably don't know actually what legally hate crime is, right? So this is an opportunity also for the investigators and for law enforcement to be able to get in the community and actually just explain this is actually a hate crime versus this is the one who just doesn't like you, or you was part of a crime and you happen to be gay. So look, that's two different things. And so that needs to be explained, and that's what a liaison also would do. The other thing is around sex trafficking. So unfortunately in Metro Atlanta, what we don't recognize or talk about is that in Metro Atlanta, particularly in the city of Atlanta, which, some of that sits in DeKalb County, we're considered liberal and all things go on here, right? You mentioned about statistics around LGBT people living here. And so those in South Georgia or in rural Georgia know that. And many youth who are kicked out of their parents' homes or not accepted in schools or their churches, who are not allowed to be gay or trans, think that everything will be solved if they come up to Atlanta. But in the process of coming to Atlanta is when they get caught up in sex trafficking, because those nightclubs might let them come in. If you come in here, they sneak in theirs, so they can then find a home, somewhere to sleep with that night. Drinking is involved, drugs get involved, and of course, prostitution or sex trafficking gets involved also. So this is also a way to be able to be in the community and say, hey, this is a safe space, a safe person that you can talk to and tell and say that this has happened to you, or you being a presence in that area to know that there is someone that's always available.
Thank you for that distinction. And I like how you were mentioning earlier how I think it was City of Atlanta started with this liaison, but then moved on to other liaisons.
Yes.
And I think that was like your conversation about hate crimes. I think the last time we were talking about that is kind of why we were talking about having other liaisons as well, because we know discrimination, especially in America today, sees many different forms. So I really appreciated your point on that. And so it does seem like this could be a good place to start, and then we could work in with those other ones as well.
One more thing to that. I have been part of 2 separate SOPs with the City of Atlanta. So, as you know, law enforcement, SOPs change all the time, get updated, and what you start with today does not have to be the same, in 2 or 5 years, right? And so it is a growing thing. And part of what that comes with when you're creating another position for another community is you have learned all the mistakes with that SOP from the get-go, because that's why they had to update. There was originally one SOP around the LGBT community, then they created a second one, and then they created one just for the trans community. So knowing how to, detain and transport and language, all of that was pulled out to deal with a separate community. So there's 2 separate SOPs around the LGBT community, trans and then LGBT. So just letting you know again that that could be your starting point and grow from that.
Awesome, thank you.
And we initially, we did have, when we started having the conversations about this, we actually did talk about potentially making this extend to hate crimes. So it's interesting that you did bring that up, but it's also included in the agenda item. But we were kind of talking around the idea, if it's more focused on hate crimes, then we could support more groups more intimately, because we're focusing on where the impact would be and how we would be attempting to support them. But Commissioner Davis Johnson, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, it's I truly support the concept of what you're saying, but I also know that prostitution, sex crimes, drugs, and other elements that exists out there for many groups, like juveniles. For one, those that run away from homes, we work with them. So my thought, and then hate crimes, I guess I sort of was there doing the civil rights integrated schools, so I'm very much aware. And I don't need any training on hate crimes because I'm very much aware and can identify what a hate crime is. And so I'd like to ask Chief Patrick, what do we have in place already, or do we have anything in place to identify hate crimes? And then I'd like for you a little bit to talk about, because of all of the diverse groups, including children, homeless, and other groups that suffer some of the same things that the LGBTQ community suffers. And how do we address it as a whole, because I think it's important because of the diversity of our county to do so.
Yes, ma'am. So with hate crimes of any class, all officers are trained to be able to identify and recognize. In addition to that, there are additional reportings that take place through our police reporting system, and then those hate crimes are looked at and presented to the district attorney's office for further prosecution based on hate crimes. But every incident report that is made, whether it's a battery, a rape case, or any type of incident, the officers are trained to look for that, and if they suspect that it may be hate crime related, it is indicated on the police report, and then it's flagged by those investigators to look at to see if those hate crime charges can be applied.
And let's talk about a little bit about trafficking the drugs, and I think I wrote down some of the sex crimes and prostitution.
Yes, ma'am. And the same applies with that when we start investigations, and we do have cases of human trafficking with our sex crimes in the DeKalb County area. Once those are identified, we have special resources for those victims through Women's Resource Center and other options through our Special Victims Unit. We have victim witness advocates that will seek resources outside of what the police department can offer from other private entities. So once we identify that those type of crimes or those victims have been subjected to those crimes, then we do have additional resources that we incorporate into the investigation, as well as resources for further treatment.
And that's inclusive of juveniles, all juveniles as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I worked with Tabitha's House and a couple of other nonprofit organizations that also identify and have victims of those type of crimes. So, thank you.
And I just want to reiterate what it sounds like I'm hearing if I kind of synthesize a statement based on what everybody is saying. I heard the mention of SWAT or the crisis unit. We currently have the unhoused diversion policy on the agenda, and then a lot of discussion about hate crimes. And it seems that we, and I'm going to say we because we're a team, we identify what the issues are in DeKalb, create systems around them, and within those systems, we learn how to support the communities that are impacted by the issues that we've identified. And so it seems that potentially, and we're still talking through this, that under hate crimes, if we have a liaison for hate crimes, we may need to identify the communities most impacted and come up with SOPs or processes to make sure we can intimately address their concerns. What I don't want to do, and of course this is up to the discretion of the committee members and the board members, is just isolate a single group, especially when, for example, with the unhoused or with our sex trafficking initiatives, there are several groups that are impacted. And so instead of trying to create a system for the group or a process to help the group, maybe we should look more at addressing the problem, but identifying ways to support the groups individually. If I made that clear, I hope I said that in a way that was easy to digest. But that's just sounds like what I'm hearing. And before I say anything else, I just want to make sure I give everybody an opportunity. Did anybody have any other questions or comments? Commissioner Johnson?
I do have another question, and this might be for Commissioner Terry's, who brought this forward. So if we do move forward with this, it is creating a position. So, and we're in October. So are we thinking it would have to be part of 2026 budget, or how would that actual position be funded?
Yes, great questions. So I will just recognize that the Organizational Act does not permit us to create a position. The resolution is requesting the administration to do this. And how they do it is, quite frankly, up to them. Certainly, hopefully, there would be some consultation with the organizations like Georgia Equality that have a lot of experience working with other jurisdictions. I will note that the Chamblee Police Department earlier this year created an LGBT liaison program. So it was a position and then a program. And I think that's really what I hope that we can get out of this conversation. And to the question earlier about how do we be inclusive of all communities, and I think Chanel made a really good point that Atlanta started with an LGBTQ liaison. It helped them create the framework to expand it to other marginalized communities. So in a way, it's a way for us to pilot out, I think, what Chief Patrick said he wants to do, which is expand it. Regarding positions, I think we still have several vacancies. So to my understanding, the funding is there for positions. It's more about recruitment and retention, and we know that whole story. It is difficult right now. One thing I just will point out, because Commissioner Bolton, you referenced it, and appreciations to Commissioner Patrick for introducing this legislation, I think 2 years ago, but we did pass a non-discrimination ordinance that is broad, but it was really in a way directed at a time when we were aware that there was discrimination against LGBTQ in America. And so we have an actual law that says discrimination is illegal based on a whole host of categories, including sexual orientation and identity. So, really, if the committee and the board believe this is a good policy, we can pass the resolution. But eventually, really, ultimately, Chief Patrick and obviously Madam CEO would have to figure out what's the best way to implement it. And because there's a lot of, I think, partner agencies and colleagues in the Metro Atlanta who have done this or who have started it, there's already a community that I think would help advise and support. And hopefully this is something, I really hope one day that every police department has these type of liaison positions for this and several others. And then now we're talking about having a network of individuals across Metro Atlanta that can be not only supportive, but also be proactive in how they reach out to the community and create those programs.
I think, Commissioner Johnson, you had something?
No, that was my question when I was rereading, making sure I was understanding what the intent was about the positions, but that does make sense that we can't create the position, but we can try and help encourage. And then the other two items, it feels like we're already doing, so this could also just be a way of us uplifting and supporting the actions that we're already undertaking. Yes, absolutely.
Commissioner Davis Johnson.
Yeah, I would like to say I do understand what has been presented, but I do have confidence in our legal and our police department to continue to do what they're doing. I'm not going to group the DeKalb Police Department with Atlanta or Cobb or Gwinnett. I'm just not going to do that because I know we're unique in what our focus is here in DeKalb and what we do in DeKalb. So I could not support this resolution, but I can support our police to continue to do the things that we do, to continue to be proactive in doing so, and in an economy as I stated earlier, in an economy as is, and the uncertainty of that economy day by day, I don't recommend the administration to do anything more than they're doing unless I see an urgency for it. And so I don't see that urgency right now when we're already doing what a liaison could do. And if in the future is necessary, I think that I can review it at that point. But right now, I'm supportive of what our police department is doing. Just wanted to say that.
Commissioner Patrick, did you have anything? Okay. Chanel, I do want to say thank you so much for joining us today. You really gave us a lot to consider. And it's really impressive that you say you are on the FBI Community Commission.
The FBI around the country has community committees
Committee.
that encourage minority populations to be part so they can get ahead of the trend. Also, I'm the former founding co-chair of the DeKalb, the Fulton County District Attorney's LGBT Liaisons Board. So, again, these conversations have happened several times, and so with Fulton County, this was how we built it up there also.
Wonderful. And I think I may have some more questions for you because if the FBI can have a committee, it might be something that I need to ask more questions about for local jurisdiction.
I certainly will be able to pass along to you, if you like, the connection there. And you actually are invited to come to the meeting if you so choose.
Wonderful. So I would like to see a deferral because I do want to invite some others just to come and speak on this topic before we make a decision on it, namely, as was mentioned, when it comes to sex trafficking and some other things. However, I am open to a motion, but I would like to bring some more folks in to come speak with respect to the item.
So, I think I'm comfortable, but I will do the motion to defer for 2 weeks.
Do we have a second?
I think you might need a second.
Second.
Well, no, I mean, I wanted to say that, I can go with the second. I mean, you ask, you don't have to, please don't ever direct and say what I'm not going to do, because you don't know. So I will make the second, and I would like to also have conversation as to who would be present.
Okay.
Okay, don't ever do that.
All right, so we have the motion made by Commissioner Johnson and a second by Commissioner Davis Johnson. All in favor for the 2-week deferral? Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. So we'll bring this back to committee. It's 3:37, and I don't think we have anything urgent on the agenda, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Madam Chair, I don't think there's anything urgent on the agenda. We did have the item for
Oh, that's
the
right.
ambulance contract,
right.
but that's something that's going to need to go to audit. So
We did have one come out.
we can hold that, I guess, till next time.
I think it's,
Make sense? Chief?
I think it's 1316.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I resent to the entire commission and the appropriate parties a new version of the diversion
Okay.
for unhoused individuals. I just noticed in the package, the original version was
It's
still
still
there.
there.
So I just sent it. I think you already have it. It's from July, but just to remind you that's there.
Okay. Well, if there isn't anything that's urgent, we'll just hold the remainder of these items in committee, and that is 1233, the diversion policy, 1292, 1357, 1316, 1318, 1317, and 1352. All righty, if there is nothing else, do we have a motion?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All righty, thank you guys so much for joining us today for ERPS.